agakagwawo agaliwo America olowooza tebikoze. General Museveni sanction esingayo ddala okuba ennene, ataddamu kutambula nsi yonna, wonna watuuka walinnya ekigere kye bwatu bwe papa nga bamukaba bwe kokwa. Kati nno namusa yatuuse dda ku nnyoge. Bulijjo abiyita bya lusaago byamanyo wenu abadde bulijjo sanctions baziwa abantu mpola mpola. Ono Anita Amongi ne bamuwa, ono Ereru ne bamuwa, ono Kayihura ne bamuwa, eno Gundi ne bamuwa, nga ye alowooza nno kiri wala naye tazifune era nga takisuubira nno mu bulamu bwe asobola okufuna okuba sanctions n'abantu be bamukolera bakozesa n'aba sanctions. Kakati nno ennamusa etuuse ku nnyoge. Kati so tubirabe bino ebiva mu ggwanga la America, tulabe.
The second part was the sanctions on Among, Anita Among. Recently, this week in the U.S., the U.S. also announced sanctions Among, and I guess Nandutu, Peter Ereru for the human rights abuses, including Kasese massacre, Nandutu, obviously, and Among for the corruption. Because basically this UK and US are now coordinating the sanctions regime. So which is it's good. And they said the US said is working on a lot more sanctions, a lot more officials in Uganda. They did not mention who those officials are. So now this is an opportunity to say, Muhoozi, all these other people also should be, and I'm sure the US is actually working on it, except that they're not announcing it publicly. But to build upon that and say, list all the people that we think should be sanctioned and why they should be sanctioned. So that's an opportunity to build upon. And of course, that says that our efforts are working. I mean, it takes time, but the demonstrations, the exposure of what is happening and who's doing it is actually working. So let's continue doing the demonstrations and the speaking out and the tweeting because ultimately the results are beginning to will come and they are beginning to be revealed. So that's two. The other part obviously is the tour, national tour by the National Unity Platform this past week, Dakar and Omukono. And of course, supposedly that is a mobilization tour. I'm not quite certain what the objective is. Apart, I think part of it is in preparation for 2026, which I'm not quite, sold on. I mean, I don't really think we should be looking to 2026. But what is important to note is that the regime stopped. Announced that they're stopping any further, tours or kind of visits by the president, elected president of Uganda to other parts of the country, which obviously points to the fact that 2026 is if anyone who's putting their faith in 2026, I think it's mistaken because nothing is really going to change, and if anything. Museveni is going to make it more difficult for Museveni and Muhoozi together are going to make it extremely difficult to get any major for NUP or any other party to have major inroads, especially in parts outside of the strongholds like Uganda. So that was just I think a window dressing in what is likely to happen if we go to 2026. And then, of course, there were a couple other things that happened which were out of the media. There was an ECOP demonstration in Uganda, and they arrested, I think, 8 people, but there was a lot of international pressure, and they were released within 2 days. So it was really concerning the Chinese because the Chinese are in advanced stages of deciding on whether or not they're going to fund this East African oil pipeline. So a bunch of demonstrators, activists went and demonstrated to the Chinese embassy and they're arrested, but they were linked up with a lot of external forces. So there was a lot of pressure. Even Total intervened and these people were released. So this ECOP pipeline is extremely important because this is a Museveni's, once the West fully cuts him off, is relying on resources from oil. He's hoping to rely on the resources of oil to maintain himself in power, whether or not it gets funding from the World Bank or IMF or any other source. So, but beyond that, obviously, it's a major damage it's going to do to our environment, to the Lake Victoria Basin, to the rivers, Katonga, and which are already being polluted by Chinese investors, mining sand and all that, and displacements of hundreds of thousands of people within both Uganda and Tanzania. Some of the pipelines are passing under the River Nile in the Murchison Falls Park. So the potential for pollution and oil spills on our lakes and the rivers and ecosystems are just immense. And of course, that's not to talk about the so-called emissions that climate activists are more concerned about. That when this pipeline is transporting oil, there's a lot of these emissions that are going to go in the air and trap carbon and contribute to further warming in a region that is already really dry. So anyway, those are some of the issues that I think I wanted to kind of highlight what some of the things that will happen. And of course, there was an issue of the Kabaka, and I think everyone heard about the Kabaka a couple of weeks ago. The Namibia embassy came out and said the Kabaka was in a psychotherapy center, which is very interesting. Basically, psychotherapy center is more or less a mental institution, the Botanical Hospital. So how he got there and how he made the decision to take him there is all very mysterious, especially given the lack of transparency about his condition from the Katikiro, Maiga, and initially when people didn't even know where he was, but when it was discovered, he was in Namibia. The Katikiro apparently said he had just gone there on rest of relaxation, the advice of his doctor. So that whole situation is very it's perturbing lots of us because it's not clear what's happening to the king, especially given that it's been it's a big, how do I say, obstacle. I mean, it's been one of the biggest, if you remember, he came out very strongly after the 2021, the November 2020 massacre and some of the activities that happened in 2021. He really spoke out and asked for accountability for those responsible, and I think that was the last time he was seen to be in his more or less proper physical condition. Ever since then, subsequent appearances, he seemed weaker and sicker. So this issue of the Kabaka is very volatile, and so there was a demonstration yesterday. Some of our colleagues demonstrated in Washington, D.C. To further highlight the situation. So these are all the things that I can think of off the top of my head that have happened recently, and of course the theme of today is on us. It's on us. What happens? So what are we going to do to ensure that we stop the bleeding? Uganda's bleeding. How do we stop the bleeding? Before I open it to the other co-hosts and anyone else who may want to say something, it's interesting that the sanctions that are announced, remember Mr. Kabuleta's video talks about the indomitables and space failures. And as far as I can see, the sanctions that are announced so far are more on the so-called space failures, because Anita Mong and all these other people are really more or less space failures. The real, as Kabuleta says, the small group that is controlling everything is not on a sanctions list. So I wonder if there is some kind of, the indomitables are kind of feeding some information to these people to kind of implicate the space failures while shielding themselves from some of these sanctions. So I think it's incumbent upon us to ensure that we point out that the key culprits in corruption, Museveni himself, the family, and those other people who test us, need to be sanctioned, because this all would not happen. They are enablers that if there are no sanctions, this is more or less meaningless. So thank you so much for those. That's my opening remarks. I don't know if any other co-host. I see Mr. Joe. We're happy to have you. Of course, I've not been here. Maybe you've been here, so I'm here on and off. But last time I was here, I didn't see you. But anyone, Ismail, Joe, Mimi, or anyone else is welcome to pick up a mic and say what you need to say. Thank you so much. Let's open it up. Please feel free to have an open discussion on our today's topic. What can we do to stop the bleeding? It's upon us to do whatever is necessary. And of course, keeping in mind of all the different things that have happened recently. Thank you. Ismail or Joe or Mimi, anyone wants, or Godfrey, or anyone who wants to say something, please. Godfrey, can you?
For me, comrades, for me, I wanted us to talk about this police, whatever thing they put up that
Mimi, hold on a second. Mimi, hold on a second, please, because I think Godfrey put up his hand first. I know you're a co-host, but let's give him a chance, and then you go, please. Godfrey,
That's okay.
Godfrey, go ahead, please, Godfrey. Godfrey? Now it disappeared.
Yeah, I'm glad for Mimi to start with, to continue, especially when she has started, and I come in after.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Mimi, please, Godfrey, I'm giving you the mic again. Thank you.
Actually, I wanted to bring up the police post. I think that really, to me, it just actually made me so annoyed. That police thing saying that they are. I think the thing that really made me, I don't know if you guys looked at that, one of those postings that had the police notification that that they want to stop the NUP activities because they are there to protect, to do all these things. I don't understand what this police thing, what goes in the minds of these people. When accidents are taking place on our roads, they cannot even get on those roads to man them. When people are losing their properties and they are imagine to me, I feel that it's really abusing the Ugandans. This police thing is abusing Ugandans. How can you say that you're protecting the lives, the property of the people of Uganda when you're going around destroying? You cannot be on the roads to man these roads, to make sure that is their job. They are supposed to be on those roads, making sure that they can say that, traffic or whatever. That is part of their responsibility, to make sure that Ugandans, that these roads are safe, that people are keeping law and order. Crime, if you look, crime on the streets of Uganda, cases of people who have been murdered, people who have been stolen, nothing. They are not even trying to solve any of those cases. How many people have lost loved ones who are lost, loved ones who have been killed, people who have lost property or stuff stolen? You never ever see Uganda police coming and putting a post. We are now manning the Kampala, we are manning these cities so that to reduce the crime. Have they ever reduced any crimes in Kampala here? Just even in Kampala or any village or whatever, have you ever seen a report that comes out and say they've reduced the crime rate? Nothing. But hey, when NUP is going around, you didn't even see anything on those videos that shows there was an accident, they were vandalizing, nothing. Now they come up, have to stop NUP activities. To me, that is so annoying. These people are so primitive in their thinking. They need to go. How can you even get up there and start the distance between you and the people, and you start shooting this tear gas thing, those tear gas canisters? That shows the kind of primitivity they have, that they do not even have any training. Show me, if you look at that video where they are shooting this canister of tear gas so close, and they say they are protecting lives. Is that really protecting lives? So me, that is so annoying, and we need to do something about it. Just to mention it, how the stupidity, I call it the stupidity, the primitivity, unprofessionalism, because these activities are showing their unprofessionalism. They lack training, and this is what they really need. They need for their officers, to train them to know what is a safe distance for you to shoot that canister of tear gas into a crowd. And you do that only when there are riots, riots that have gone out of order, But if people are doing their things peacefully, how can you just start doing that? That is something we need to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mimi. That is right. It's very annoying, but not surprising, because this has been happening for over 20 years. Basically, the police are operating on orders from above. So whatever training they received goes to naught. It's really, some rogue officer, because he has orders from above, feels they can do whatever, to hell with the rights and political whatever. So they, of course, remember they have the Political Order Management Act or Public Order Management Act, which used to restrict people, no more than a few people I think could meet and this and that. So they have a lot of things on the books, which sometimes they can't, they use to try to restrict public meetings and stuff like that. But I think it's really about how we remove that, the system that is allowing this to happen. Because literally, I mean, some of these officers are getting training from the UK. The UK spent a lot of money training Ugandan police. And of course, the UK police, as you know, is one of the police forces that many times, even in London, they would not carry guns. So they know how to control crowds without using excessive force. So the fact that this police force got training from the UK and behaving this way, and of course, remember that much of the police is militarized in Uganda. Kairu Kaihura, those generals were heading the police. So it's a combination of of military and police working together, and so that's where, and the military obviously is not trained to be policing people. So I think the policemen in many cases don't even have the authority to do their job properly. So it's a major problem, which I guess, as you said, we need to highlight, and especially to so-called donors that support this police force and say, this is why you're sponsoring. Stop sponsoring this. Thank you so much, Mimi. That was a very good point. Godfrey, can you please take on, finally, say what you need to say. Godfrey, mute you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Joseph, and everyone. Blessings. A couple of things on my mind is regarding this tour phase 2. I think this is the right time to have this tour to remind people of what we are, and especially what has been going on regarding on the corruption front and all the governance issues we have. It's the right time in that next year it will be starting campaign season, and then people tend to be diverted. But if now we are reminded of what we are for and where we should fight, maybe we can achieve our results before the elections kick in. This is what we hope for, especially since we've had some help from external sources regarding the sanctions. They might not be on top of the food chain, but when you clip the wings, it means sure the bird won't fly that high. Yeah? So it's a reminder to the powers that be that we are watching and you are next. And I'm sure soon we'll get the right people sanctioned. Among all, I'm glad about Erweru because that was overdue. I mean, what was done in Kasese is unforgivable. And for him to do that, to command and then get promoted, that's even unacceptable, which means the regime and those concerned should have been sanctioned at the same time. But I don't understand geopolitics much, but these people know how to do the sanctions. And soon you'll find that even though they clip the bottom edge, the top can't fly. And I'm hoping that's the case. On the second point is, well, kind of, in fact, the two are coming in time. Most things have happened in time for a reason. The Mpuga and Bwanika saga, it has proved that they have no leg to stand on. Yeah. That's the way to fight corruption. And when they thought they had power, they haven't got the power. And this has woken people up to say that people have the power and no leader, a leader should be a servant, not the other way around. And also we've got a lot of crime going on across the country, especially in the urban areas. And this is inevitable because those committing the crime are actually the victims of the governance. Because you have a regime for 40 years which hasn't planned for the youth, for the young. The young have nothing to do. They have no jobs. They can't afford the education. The land they used to be on has been taken away. Now is the time. It might not be nice. I could be a victim of these youth, but I'm on their side in that the regime hasn't planned for them. And it's high time we all wake up and make an effort to get rid of this regime. Because if we don't, even what we are seeing now, yeah, we pray end up doing the same because we have nothing else left to eat. Someone said that when the poor have run out of things to eat, they eat the rich. And this is what happens. We can't rely on the police for protection. The police is political. They only come out when there's new meetings. All the security forces will come out against the NUP. They will reprimand, they will torture, they will kill, they will tear gas. But as of the crime, because it happened is in broad daylight. And it could be that it's planned by the regime around, because that's what the regime does around this time, to agitate, create or plan crime waves, and then come out on the other side as the savior. It could be that's the case. But either way, we need to get the regime out, and hopefully we will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Godfrey, for that submission. Actually, you reminded me something which I forgot to mention in my opening remarks. The parliament MPs vote to sanction the commissions that awarded themselves millions of shillings, including Puga and others. I think that was a great gesture. And of course, a number of them have signed, but I believe not a lot of them. Not basically. It will be interesting to know how many MPs have signed the petition, and how many opposition MPs have signed that petition. And interestingly, that petition was brought by Sekikubo, who is another member, and the leader of opposition, Senyoni, signed it. But I suspect not everyone has within NUP or the opposition signed it. I mean, of course, you saw what's his name, Mr. Nganda coming out I just saw it yesterday, I think, saying that I cannot sanction my friend in Puga, even if it means losing my seat, if that's what the constituents prefer. So now you have this Senganda, some Uganda, who I've respected a lot because it's come up with a lot of information about corruption, about Museveni, about whatever. He's like, I mean, it tells you we have a huge problem. If some Uganda can say that he won't vote for sanction his friend Puga, who's obviously on a case of corruption, like self-enrichment, it's a major problem because it talks about hypocrisy among the opposition. That's why we as citizens, as again, we have to hold everyone to account, however seemingly well-spoken they are. If they're not standing up to principle, we have to expose them and question them. Some of you now completely disappointed me. That statement, one sanction. So along with that, there's MPs from NUP and opposition. So anyone, I think that list of members of parliament that have signed that petition should be published. And I think Spirit Sentongo said they would publish that, and that list should be circulated. And all opposition, all Ugandans, because many of these people, okay, I don't support, I'm not looking to 2026 and I don't whatever, but those people should be, the constituents should reject anyone who basically refuses, they should hold them to account. Why didn't you sign this thing? Why didn't you, you say you're fighting for corruption, you're fighting against bad roads, against, hospitals that have no medicine, against all this, and you let this pass and you don't pass this. Why is that happening? So we need to hold those MPs and anyone within parliament, given an opportunity to take an action, and you don't do it. So I think that is a great development, and I hope it's pursued to its conclusion. And I think that would be a way to start holding these people accountable. I think that was good within Uganda. Apart from sanctions abroad, the sanctions within Uganda actually, in some ways, more are also very meaningful because they can start creating that culture whereby people are holding their leaders to account. So thank you so much, Mr. Iga. And of course, you talk about the crime. Yes, as understand the crime wave, gangs, waylaying people and attacking them. That's very frightening. I obviously don't support that. But I think, as I said, there's a bit of complacency within those of Ugandans that are doing well, that are, at least having their cars and the children are going to good schools, despite, all they see, the opposition is those activists out there that are creating a lot of noise and creating trouble for us. But perhaps once the situation is, we start seeing that the environment is such that things are going to get much worse, they may come on board and start supporting actions and campaigns to see that there is change in the country. So yes, that was an interesting point. Thank you, Mr. Iga. So now, anyone else, co-host or anyone else that wants to say something, please ask for the mic. And Mr. Joe, I see Joe. Joe, please, you are welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much, namesake, and thank you very much, colleagues, for again committing and remaining resilient. Yes, very, very interesting points that have been raised, and they're all pertinent. Talking about corruption, ladies and gentlemen, corruption remains the cornerstone of NRM politics. Whether we are talking about political corruption, social corruption, spiritual corruption, economic corruption, that is what that remains the foundation of the NRM politics. And Museveni uses it. I mean, as far as patronage is concerned, as far as cronyism is concerned, this is a weapon that he has effectively used, first of all, to control and to mobilize his own party, blackmail them. But he has also used this same weapon to subdue opposition. Now the likes of Semi-Jew, they're conflicted, and the remainder will face. On the one hand, they make noise because this is part of the game. Yes, he makes noise, but he remains a beneficiary of the system. I think, according to the exhibition, there were records that showed that his per diems were inflected and not properly accounted for. So Semju remains one of the beneficiaries of the system, and actually he's in cahoots with Amon, the speaker. That is why she allows him. He has, if you have noticed, he has leverage to speak. He speaks more than almost any other member of parliament, but he speaks on very selected, I think, topics that are, I think, meant to expose the executive, that is Museveni. This is partly to pave way for Amon. So there are games going on there. So as far as corruption is concerned, there is no political will to stop corruption. Even part of the opposition, members, they've been caught up in this game, sadly. And right now we know that I think Amon is mobilizing a number of groups, members. He has sent a contingent of MPs to Dar es Salaam. Others are going to Nairobi. This is to frustrate the efforts of Mr. Sechikubo, who has mobilized people to censor the speaker. So how far this goes, we do not know. But whilst it's good that the NRM are doing this, I think this was a missed opportunity as far as opposition was concerned. At the time, we're agitating for for the opposition actually to initiate the censorship, but they didn't do that. Again, it remains to be seen how far they are going to go. But censoring the 4 commissioners without censoring the speaker, really, I think, does not resolve the problem, does not address the issue of corruption. So I personally, I would like to see the speaker also. Now, I don't know what the end game is. Are they first going to censor the commissioners and eventually come, if they're setting a precedent and then come for the speaker, that would be good. But I think Sechikubo somewhere has ruled out going for the speaker. So all this is just playing to the gallery, ladies and gentlemen. It's not good enough. We've got a problem, and this problem must be addressed. Of course, there are those who are defending Amon that she was never tried or she was never taken to court. But this lady, her actions, I think, have been very obvious, according to the exhibition. And the UK is very clear using the global anti-corruption sanctions regime. It is not necessarily the case that she must be taken to court. So in other words, if anybody is involved in corruption, aiding and abetting corruption, that person must be sanctioned. If anybody also tries to subvert actions in parliament that are trying to investigate corruption, that person also should be sanctioned. And I think you recall that when the subject was brought to the floor, Amon tried very much to avoid the subject of corruption, dismissing it, as if it was not important. And I think therein she became, of course, a promoter and a defender of corruption, and therefore by her very actions, she had to be sanctioned according to the global anti-corruption sanctions regime, which has to date sanctioned, I think, about 42 more corrupt leaders across the globe. So that is a good move, and I think we want more sanctions. And I think the fact that the US does not disclose its list of are we heading? Are we close to? Okay.
Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah.
1 minute. Okay. Yeah, maybe we sanction, I think about 42 more.
Ndowooza owulira sanctions za General 7 abantu bonna bwe zeeyongera buli olukya kwongera kuggyibwamu obwesige okwesiga twakyali akwesiga n'omu olw'ebikolobero by'ogenza okola ku bannansi lukwe by'ogenza okola n'olwekyo awo guba gujja bagidde anti kati ebyokutambula balina okubisalako kubanga baba bajja mukabirayo b'olinya mu America ne bakwaba b'olinya Europe ne bakaba n'olwekyo twongere kunyiga omusajja n'atera kutuuka ku kisenge buli lukedde tulyoke kye tukola nga kituyamba okutereeza ensi yaffe okulaba ekinaddiye ekinava mu mpale y'ebiraka nga wamma ggwe nnyini ddala omusajja bamukabye eggwanga lyaffe litereere. Baagala nnyo mwenna abaliko mwe bali kubaako. Ndonda Uganda America kitaffe abakuume tujja kuba tuddamu mwera.